Hey guys, it's your favorite loctician again. I'm back with some, let's say, lock wisdom. You can call me the wise loctician. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about build-up. For those of you who don't know what build-up is, I'm sure you have maybe seen some dreadlocks where when you look at the strand, you keep seeing white stuff, like white substances along the strand of the dreadlock. Well, I'd have shown you an example on mine, but I don't have build-up. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about different types of build-up. I'd like to talk about maybe product build-up, but I feel like build-up is gotten from so much more than just, the hair products that we use. So today we're going to be making our own vocabulary. I'm going to talk about 3 different types of build-up. There is product build-up, which you've probably heard about. Then I'm going to talk about substance build-up, and I'm going to talk about fabric build-up. So we're going to talk about those 3 things and how to, let's say, prevent them. And then I'm going to tell you guys how you can handle a situation where you have build-up already and you want it out of your hair. Yeah? So stay tuned. So we're going to begin with product build-up, which I'm sure is what most of you are familiar with. If anything, the products we use on our hair are like the biggest factors that contribute towards build-up in our dreadlocks. Beginning with the shampoo you use and the conditioner you use. So when you're washing your hair and you condition it, if you do not rinse the product out completely, it stays in your locks and ends up forming some sort of layer. That's where the white stuff comes from. So what I'd recommend is when you're washing your hair, whether you're washing or just washing and conditioning, wash out the product completely. Make sure you rinse your hair thoroughly. Even once the foam is over from washing, just run your hair under water for a bit more time, just to be 100% sure that you've removed all the product from your hair. Next, we go to even things like the wax that you use to retwist your locks, the wax or gel, whatever it is that you use. If you use something that's really thick and sticky, it tends to kind of form some sort of layer on the hair, and that's what brings about build-up. So I'd suggest that if you're using a wax, look for a product which is pretty light. There are many waxes out here that are light, and people tend to think that waxes which are light don't hold the hair. Do not be fooled. Even the light ones still hold your hair in place. So I'd suggest that when you're buying a wax, use something that's a bit light. The texture, make sure it's something that's light and not something that's very sticky, because that ends up like leaving build-up in your hair and you end up seeing white things even after you retouch. Something else that brings about build-up is the oils that we use, especially solid oils. I tend to see that solid oils, instead of penetrating your lock strand, they tend to build some sort of layer at the top, especially like right near your scalp. So I'd recommend that you use liquid oils. That's why I'm always saying use liquid oils. Coconut oil, olive oil, jojoba. There's so many out there. If you can use liquid oils, you'd be able to prevent getting build-up, because liquid oils have an easier time seeping into the dreadlock instead of forming a layer at the top. Lastly, people who love using sprays. I'm not going to stop you from using sprays on your dreadlocks, but all I could say is after you spray your hair, just try and even out the product through your strands, instead of just spraying and leaving and letting the spray settle there and basically form like chunks of product on your hair. Just even it out before you leave the house, and I mean that should at least help you and prevent you from having an issue with build-up. So now we talk about fabric build-up. This one is not really common, but in some cases, the build-up we get in our dreadlocks tend to be as a result of different fabrics. So when I talk about fabric, I'm mostly talking about blankets and towels. So depending on the kind of blanket you use, if you're the kind of person who covers your head a lot when you're sleeping, then sometimes the particles from your blanket tend to remain on your hair, and you probably won't see them. You'll wake up and go about your business as usual, but if the particle from the blanket is not removed from your locks, then sometimes it tends to go and mold into the lock and just basically become one. It gets comfortable and settles there. So what I'd recommend for this is that when you're going to sleep, use a satin or a silk bonnet. Just get something, even if it's a piece of cloth or something that's especially satin or silk, and cover your head with it, like wrap your locks in a bonnet, and then when you're sleeping, even if you cover your head, nothing is going to be able to stick onto your hair and give you build-up. For towels, I am not telling you not to use towels. That's impossible. But what I mean is, when you're selecting a towel, especially for your hair, make sure it's a lint-free towel. What I mean by lint-free is make sure that it's not the kind of towel where the fibers tend to come off really easily, because if the fibers tend to come off easily, then when you're wiping your hair with the towel, the fibers are going to end up sticking in your hair, and it's going to be pretty hard to remove all of those. So when you're looking for a towel to be using on your hair, just do your best to make sure that it's lint free. That way you are safe, and I mean, you're not going to have buildup because of fabric. So lastly, we talk about substance buildup. Remember, these are words I made up. So if you go and search for substance buildup and don't see it, oh well, just know it's a dreads on fleek vocabulary, you know? Yeah. So anyway, substance buildup, when I refer to that, I'm talking about mostly dust. So if you're a person who lives in an area that's very, very, very dusty, and you know, you tend to go out a lot, and so you know, you and dust basically become one. Like, dust tends to settle on your dreadlocks a lot. I mean, I can't tell you never to leave your house or anything, but here my only recommendation would be to wash your hair frequently. Especially if you're the type of person who goes for like months without getting a retouch, make sure you make washing your hair a habit. I know we get lazy sometimes and you feel like, I don't want to move, I don't want to wash my hair, but if you are living in an area that is very prone to dust, I suggest that you make it a habit to wash your hair frequently. That way, you won't risk having buildup, especially from dust. And you know, the kind of buildup you get from dust is not even the white one, it's the brown one, and that one looks really bad. Trust me, it's not something that you want on your hair. So, I mean, for substance buildup, the only solution I could give is just basically wash your hair frequently. I have friends who sometimes, people who've lived in areas that have a lot of dust, and one of the ways that they used to handle this was putting on something like a Marvin when you're maybe on a motorbike, you know, or something like a scarf just to wrap around your hair when you're on a motorbike in a very dusty area. That way you're sure that not a lot of dust is settling on your hair. But generally the solution is just wash your hair frequently and imagine you'll be fine. So those are basically the causes of buildup and how to prevent them. But I'm sure you're wondering, so what happens in the case that you already have buildup and would like to get rid of it? Don't you worry, I got you. I've done a whole video on what I call an ACV rinse. That's an apple cider vinegar rinse, which is something that's usually done to basically deep clean your dreadlocks. I'm linking it down below and at the end of the video as well. So please, please, please watch that video, and if you have buildup, it's going to show you how you can get rid of the product buildup that you have. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to leave me comments and also like the video, share it among your networks, and if you have not yet, please subscribe. Lastly, do not forget, Locs rock.